If you have been living under a rock for the past week, OG Anunoby got traded, and now there's a lot of rumors circulating about Pascal Siakam potentially being traded. I, for one, don't know if the Raptors fan base wants to trade Siakam, but I can see a lot of people saying to trade Siakam. Me personally, I agree with the trade Siakam narrative because he conflicts with Scotty Barnes in terms of play style, not a great three-point shooter. So I just see a lot of conflicting things. But the biggest reason you have to trade Siakam is because he has 1 year left on his contract and he could leave in free agency. Now, if you were to extend him, that issue is resolved pretty easily, but he hasn't signed a contract extension yet, so who knows what's going to happen. But if he leaves for nothing, the Raptors are going to be in trouble. So that is why in today's video we're going to be going over the best landing spots for Pascal Siakam if he is traded. Pascal Siakam has won an NBA championship before. He did it as a second option / complementary piece around Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors. That's why I think if he were traded to the Philadelphia 76ers, he could be a very good complementary, good third option around Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, as he's a phenomenal two-way player. He's a better basketball player than Tobias Harris, even though I will give Tobias Harris credit. He has been very, very good this year. He's a better three-point shooter than Siakam. So obviously you got to factor in the fact that Siakam's a negative three-point shooter compared to Tobias Harris, but he does everything else on the court a lot better. The problem here, assets with Philly, and do they give up too much to get Siakam? I don't know if this is realistic. I don't think it's realistic. But if Philly wants a third star to go next to Embiid and Maxey, Pascal Siakam is perfect. And I could see a world where they do pull off a trade to get him, even though they don't have the young player assets, but they do have a little draft capital, so that could get it done. But you also have the same risk that he doesn't sign in the offseason, which is big. Now, if Siakam goes to free agency, 76ers could try and get him there, and that would be a nice move. But yeah, the first team I want to talk about is 76ers. Realistically, probably not happening, but in my head, I really want to see it. The next team I really want to talk about is the Sacramento Kings. Let me ask you, what's the biggest problem for the Kings? Their defense. It is atrocious. But in order to improve their defense, they have to take a hit on offense. But what if there's a player that could do both? Oh, there is. That player is Pascal Siakam, who's an elite two-way player, same as Philly. He could be a big three member. And having him on your roster could bring your team from, right now, let's be honest, the Kings are not a contender right now. The West is too good. There's too many teams that have to leapfrog in order to get to a contender status. But if they were to get a player like Siakam, you're telling me they can't compete with anybody in the Western Conference? They can. The West is open. They're going to be, right now, they're not scaring anybody, because any team that play can score 140 points with them. And if they can shut down Sabonis, who has been historically horrible in the playoffs, they really only have to worry about De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk. And maybe Keegan Murray, who hopefully in a trade you can keep him, and if you try and get Siakam. But this team has very, very many flaws that include defense and then secondary scoring outside of De'Aaron Fox. Siakam helps this team so much in both of those regards. It's perfect. If they don't trade a lot for him, it would make them pure contenders. You can't sit up here and tell me that a lineup of De'Aaron Fox, we don't know who the shooting guard would be, assuming they trade Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes in the deal. Oh, maybe it would be Chris Duarte. So De'Aaron Fox, Chris Duarte, Keegan Murray, Pascal Siakam, and Sabonis. That is a starting five that is really, really scary. And then you have Malik Monk, who could be sixth man of the year off the bench. Like, this team is scary. They're a real threat in the West. Right now, they're not. They need to make a move, a big-time move like this. But obviously, there's a lot of logistical reasons they can't make this move because the asking price from the Raptors and the fact, again, we're going to keep saying this all video, you run the risk of Siakam leaving in free agency. But you also run the risk of losing Malik Monk in free agency too. So you might lose both of the players if you go out and make this trade. So if you're the Kings, I don't know if this is realistically a great trade for y'all. If it's worth it. But a team that absolutely needs to seriously think about a Pascal Siakam trade is the Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers are realistically the best destination for Siakam because they desperately need him, because Tyrese Halliburton really needs a co-star in Indiana. They have a lot of good players, but they don't have a secondary elite player. So Siakam, he would be the 2 on this team, and he's a very, very good 2 option to have. He helps defensively because the Pacers have been defensively challenged all year. 3, the Pacers do have money flexibility for the offseason. They could make him an offer he can't refuse, and he would end up having to stay there because they don't have to bring back Bruce Brown. They don't have, and in any trade, they can throw contracts away, and they have assets, they have young players, so they have so much money flexibility for Siakam. Make him an offer he can't refuse. Then you have a duo of Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam for the next few years, and you have Miles Turner, you have a bunch of good players, scrappy players around that. This team could win a lot of games in the Eastern Conference. Tyrese Halliburton has shown he can compete in the East. The East isn't that stacked. I mean, Celtics, Bucks, 76ers, Miami Heat, those are 4 teams. Everything else is wide open. You can't tell me this team isn't at least the 5th best team in the East if they don't get a player like Siakam and have a great supporting cast. So, me personally, if I'm the Indiana Pacers, I'm going all in and trying to get Pascal Siakam on my team right now. Every reason, it checks off everything. Your checklist. You need a co-star, Siakam's a co-star. You need defense, Siakam's a great defender. You can have him long term, which not many teams can say they can actually guarantee that have him long term because he is an expensive player. So he checks off every box. Indiana, please make a trade for him. Please show me that you know what you're doing in this Tyrese Halliburton era, because you could be a very scary team if you acquire Pascal Siakam. Now I just want to look at other teams, but logistically, I don't know how the trade would work for Siakam to go to Indiana. I mean, they might have to throw Bruce Brown in that deal, but I think it's worth it. He hasn't really been playing all that much for them anyways, so you always have that option. Then Buddy Hield, he's kind of fallen off the rotation. Maybe throw Benedict Mathurin, Obi Toppin, and then expiring contracts. I don't know. There's a lot they can do, but I really hope Indiana is the team that gets Pascal Siakam. I want Pacers, Kings, or Sixers. Or he can stay put in Toronto because he obviously fits everything in Toronto. But yeah, let's look at other teams he could go to. The Bulls could be interesting. Him for LaVine. I don't know if I would do that if I was the Raptors, since I do not want Zach LaVine. I don't want Zach LaVine if I'm on any team, personally. The Thunder would be intriguing, but they're not going to make a trade for Siakam, even though he would fit right in, if you ask me. Kings we already talked about. The Mavericks would be interesting. I would really be intrigued to see how that would work. Suns, no. Lakers, no. Obviously, the Warriors are a rumored team. It wouldn't work out well, if you ask me. They might do a trade like that, but I don't think they have a realistic package for the Raptors that they want, nor do I think they really need 1 year of Siakam. This Warriors team needs a lot more than Siakam because they've been dreadful. And that's the last team I got for y'all. So yeah, let me know where you think Pascal Siakam's going to be traded to. Let me know if you think he even is going to be traded. I honestly am 50-50 on it. I can't say yes or no if he's going to get traded or not. But, that's the fun thing. We're going to find out. I don't think he'll be traded till after January 15th because that's when a lot more players become available on the market. But who knows? He could get traded by the time I release this video. He could not get traded. So I guess time will tell, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be coming out with one trade target for every NBA team. Been working on it right now. Pascal Siakam's name is in there. So what team is it? Guess you'll have to find out. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss that video when it comes out. This week's weekly recap is on the screen right now. Have a good one. Bye.